Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be answering the question, can you make a full-time living on Fiverr.com? So, without further ado, let's jump into this. We're going to talk about if you can make a full-time living on Fiverr.com, as well as breaking down the numbers for you, telling you how many gigs you're going to have to do per day, how much money you're going to make per month, things like that. So, the number I came up with as far as the amount of money to make per month is $2,000 a month. Now, $2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. I know that's not a ton of money, but I think most people out there aren't really expecting to make $1 million a year off of Fiverr. So I think that's a pretty reasonable number. That could be a full-time living. It's a very nice supplement if you have a full-time job. Getting an extra $2,000 a month is a very nice supplement from Fiverr. But I think a lot of people who are doing Fiverr are people who maybe they're traveling and they don't want to hold down a full-time job, but they want to spend a few hours a day doing Fiverr gigs. Or maybe you're a student and you want to bring some money coming in to pay for rent and, you know, go out and party and do whatever else. So I think $2,000 a month is kind of a pretty reasonable amount of money to make on Fiverr. And also, you know, I think for the purpose of this conversation, I think that's a pretty good number. So keep in mind, when you buy a gig on Fiverr.com, when you sell a gig on Fiverr.com, you're not making $5, you're making $4, because Fiverr takes $1 for a cut, and I guess Fiverr now should be called $5.50-er, because I know at least if you pay by PayPal, they charge you $5.50. I don't know what it is by credit card or Bitcoin, but if you pay with PayPal, it is $5.50. So the customer pays $5.50. I'm guessing that 50 cents is basically to cover like the PayPal transaction fees, and then Fiverr's making $1 off every gig that's sold as well. So you're making $4. You're not making $5. So, in order to make $2,000 a month, you would have to sell 500 gigs in a month. Sounds like a pretty big number, but if we break it down, you know, figure the average month as 30 days, we take 500, we divide it by 30, we come up with 16.66. So, to make $2,000 a month, you have to sell 16.66 gigs per day. Now, that's really not that bad at all. I mean, it's not easy to sell 16 gigs a day, but as far as the work that you would need to do to sell 16 gigs per day, really not that difficult. If you figure, I think basically figure if you do 10 gigs an hour in an 8-hour day, you're doing 80 gigs in an hour. So 16 is really nothing. I know 10 gigs an hour might be a lot for some people, but I mean, if you have a gig like I'll leave you a review on such and such website, I mean, I could probably easily leave 10 to 15 reviews in an hour. If your gig is something like video intros for YouTube, if you know anything about video intros, you buy a software and you basically just either upload somebody's logo or type in somebody's blog name or whatever, and it pops out an intro like that. I mean, you could literally probably do 40 to 50 video intro gigs per hour, including responding to your customers and everything else. So, I mean, if you can keep the flow of customers coming in, I don't think it's at all unreasonable to do 16 gigs a day. I mean, if you're writing like ebooks for people or something crazy like that, well, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to do 16 gigs in a day. But I mean, as long as you're doing gigs that you can do in 5 or 10 minutes at the most, you should easily be able to do 16 gigs per day. I know 24 grand isn't a ton of money, but you are self-employed, so you'll be getting a lot of write-offs and things like that. You can write off a home office, the computer that you're using, you can write off. You know, there's a lot of write-offs and deductions that you can take. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we really have a need for me to ramble on anymore. I guess we've kind of broken down those numbers. You know, to make $2,000 a month, you need to do 500 gigs in a month. That boils down in a 30-day month to doing 16.66 gigs per day. I think in terms of being able to have the time to do 16 gigs in a day, if you're working at it full-time, is very easy. I think the biggest problem, or the biggest thing you got to figure out, is how do I get 16 customers coming to me every day? You know, I don't really do too much promoting of my gigs, so most of my gigs are being found organically through searches on Fiverr and things like that. And I would say I maybe get 2 to 3 gigs per day. So if I actually sent out custom offers and promoted stuff, I could really easily see, you know, really upping the amount of gigs I do per day. One other thing to keep in mind, and this is probably the most important thing in this entire video, if you're doing gigs for $4 a piece, you're doing it wrong. That's not how you're going to make your money. And even Fiverr outright tells you this. You're going to make your money on tips and gig extras. So if you do a great job for somebody and they're like, wow, I feel like I got a lot more than $5 worth of work out of this guy, they might leave me a $5, $10. I've gotten $50 tips from people before. So do a great job, under promise and over deliver, and people will tip you, and that's going to make a lot of money. Excuse me. Excuse me. But more importantly is the gig extras. You know, if I'm selling a gig, I'll leave you a review. I can have a gig extra for $10. I'll get the gig done in less than 24 hours. Basically, I'm getting $10 for doing the same amount of work, just not taking 3 days or 5 days to do it. Some other gig extras, if I leave you a review, it could be, I'll make it a verified review. I'm just thinking on a site like Thumbtack, for example. If I request a service from you and you give me a quote and I accept your job, all of a sudden now the review goes from being just a regular review to a verified review, and you can, you know, charge an extra $5, $10, $15, even $20 for making it a verified review. And you can do this in a number of ways. A lot of people who do like logo designs and stuff like that will throw in, you know, I'll deliver this in a JPEG file. If you want the vector file, it's going to cost you 20 bucks extra. So the tips and the gig extras are really where you're going to make the bulk of your money. So even though with my numbers broken down, making $4 a gig, you have to do 500 gigs per month. If you're really good at pushing your gig extras, you could probably do half or even a quarter of the amount of gigs and still make the same amount of money. Or if you don't mind doing 500 gigs in a month and you get some upsells, you know, that $2,000 a month could easily turn into $4,000 or $6,000 a month. So yes, by all means, it is possible to make a living off Fiverr. Many people do it. You know, you just got to be persistent. You got to respond to your customers quickly. You got to under promise and over deliver, offer gigs that people want, and you can most definitely make a living on Fiverr. I know some people who, you know, maybe they're not even really trying to get ahead. I'm not trying to get rich or anything. I'm just trying to, you know, maybe someone, I'm big into this whole van dwelling thing, or even just the idea of being, what's the word, location independent, where there's a lot of people who are just kind of online hustlers, make their money online. They'll go live in a cheap city, maybe they'll go live in Thailand or go live in the Philippines for 6 months, and, you know, maybe your rent's $26 a month, 5, 10, 15, 20. I mean, you sell five Fiverr gigs in a month, and you paid for your rent. You know what I mean? Like, you really don't need to bring in that much money to live in some places. And some people who choose to be location independent can probably spend less than an hour a day selling Fiverr gigs and live a pretty nice life in certain countries. So, by all means, you can make a living on Fiverr. It's especially great if you're into like van dwelling, if you want to go live in the Philippines or something for 6 months and want to still keep some money coming in. It's definitely possible. I'm going to wrap up this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, if you are making a living off Fiverr, I'd love to hear from you. Share your experience, whatever. Leave a comment below. I try to respond to all my comments. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please click that subscribe button just below the video. Check back for more videos, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.